The following show features episodic breakdowns of Jackass, either performed by professionals or under the supervision of professionals. For your safety, avoid listening to this podcast at all times. Hi, I'm Mikey Aaronworth.
I'm Jason Wellwood.
And I'm Chris Aaronworth.
Welcome to Jackass.
Welcome to Jackast. It's the podcast where we're on a path of destruction through every single episode of Jackass.
We're just three lifelong fans of the show, reliving the belly laughs, bad ideas, and broken bones. But did I say three, Jay? I meant two, because this week we're not being joined by my brother. And you know, some people have best friends. I think he's like my worst friend because we just fight all the time on this podcast. This may be a 30-minute episode because Chris and I aren't going to be chirping back and forth the whole time. So if you like that in the podcast, sorry, but Chris, a little bit of an emergency, couldn't make the recording today, and we're only a couple days out from launch. So look, we got to do what we got to do, right, Jay?
We got to do what we got to do. That's all right. He'll come back. He always does.
Yes.
And,
now, I want to say a quick apology to our listeners, because we did say pretty emphatically in the last recording that we were going to be doing Haggard this week. So for those of you who tuned in,
I didn't say that.
No, you didn't say it,
On record,
Jay.
I did not say that.
For the record, you did not. But oh my God. Okay, Jay, can I explain this story to you? Holy shit.
Okay.
So look, we're all as fans of Jackass and people who are recording, we've got busy lives. I do, you do, Chris does. Our free time is somewhat limited, and it's made, more strained by the fact that we have a podcast to do every week. So I don't have a ton of free time. This Sunday, I had a few hours, like enough time that I could be like, dude, I can play some video games and watch a movie before I go to bed. Like, I'm fucking pumped for this. And then I looked at our schedule and I remembered we had to do Haggard. So with my day off, I'm like, okay, I'll throw on Haggard. Why not? I'll get that out of the way. Surely it's not as bad as Chris has been warning about. I don't want to tip my hand too much, but it went from a day I was very excited for to one of the worst days of the year for me, just because I had to sit there and watch the rest of the movie. So fuck Chris for canceling because I didn't have to waste my Sunday watching that movie.
So yeah, if I'm permanently just gone from this podcast in the near future, you might know why.
Yeah, honestly,
you might be able to connect the dots. I haven't started Haggard yet. I'll say that.
Good for you. You dodged a bullet. Something tells you this is going to be one of those things that we just keep putting off, and we're never going to end up doing it. And then I will have had watched Haggard, and I'll just have that in me like a fucking tumor. It's just staying inside of me with nowhere to like put it out to in the universe, and it's scaring me a little bit.
See, I had the similar situation to you yesterday, where I had a day off yesterday.
Yeah,
and before we kind of figured out that looks like it's going to be a 2-man show this week, I was kind of thinking, wait, okay, this could potentially be good news because I don't have to watch that piece of shit.
Right? Yes,
but. We're going to have to do it eventually. You
guys are going to have to do it. Hopefully it's not erased from my memory back then, because I don't have another viewing in me. So we got to do it soon.
Like, I can't remember which listener suggested that. Somebody did.
Man, a bunch of listeners. That's the thing. Like, but there's a Discord that I'm a part of. That's like a major Jackass community. Great Discord that I was invited to. And, I put it out there. I'm like, a lot of listeners and even some people in there have been saying like, yeah, do Haggard. Like, Haggard would be a great opportunity to, or a great something to break down on Jackast. And I was like, are people just trying to get us to do this because they hate us and they want to see us suffer? And a couple people were like, no, it's legitimately good. And I just, for the life of me, I just can't see how they're being earnest when they say that. But let's save it. Let's save that for the actual episode, because I've got thoughts on thoughts on thoughts. I could spend an hour and a half talking about that movie and not even get into the plot points, honestly.
Hey man, I like to stick my scrotum in the door and slam it real hard too. It feels great. I suggest you try that and see how that turns out for you. Listen, what are we doing this week, Mikey? This week, we are doing the 10 craziest things I ever did with SteveO, a video, the second video ever released on Dave England's channel, according to him anyway. Over the course of 6
years, yeah.
Over the course of 6 years. You see, the backstory here is that Dave hasn't done shit with his YouTube channel he says 10 years in the video, so he's had it for quite a while, but I figured no better time to start than now, and when we caught wind of this, we thought at first, could this make an episode of the podcast? And there's something here that I think resonates really well with what we do on the show, which is commentary of the stunts.
Sure.
And it's always always exciting to hear what the people doing the stunts think, and you get a lot of that in this short video. So if you haven't seen it, it's only like 7-8 minutes long. Pause this, go watch that first, and you'll be all prepped and ready to go.
We'll drop a link to the video as well in the description of the episode. And look, if you're a Jackass fan, SteveO's got his channel. He's set. You know, he's got the consistency. He understands YouTube and all that. Dave Englund wants to get on board. He's released a couple videos, or at least 2 videos since this one, or this one and one other. Show him some love. Subscribe. Leave some comments. We want to see these guys do well. We want to see them get a source of income that doesn't involve them, putting their nuts at risk or getting stung by bees and shit like that. You know, everyone deserves their fair shake at these things. So we'd love to show them some support. And this is kind of our way of doing that as well. We already did one commentary on the commentary episode, which was Johnny Knoxville when he was talking about, for I think Vanity Fair or something like that, or the top 20 most significant stunts in Jackass history or something along those lines.
Selected
this one's a
by
little
Vanity Fair, most likely.
Yeah, it sounds like Vanity Fair. Yeah, that's what Vanity Fair talks about, right? Yeah.
It was, dude. You remember that video though? It was so there were so many weird selections and things that were like, why the fuck is this in here?
Some of it was clearly fan service towards Jackass Forever, which
I don't think this is.
I don't think this is either.
Totally not that.
This and some of the other things in the Vanity Fair one were clearly like an intern or a page with the magazine just looking up random clips, like things that were in, and just being like, oh, there's a poster for Jackass where they're holding an anaconda. Like, talk about this one, Johnny. But this one's different because it's clearly SteveO and Dave Englund sitting around writing out the 10 most, or I guess they're saying craziest stunts that they've done together. Crazy is a weird word. You know, in this YouTube generation, I think you just need an adjective in there somewhere, and they chose crazy. It's just 10 stunts that they did together and they're talking about it. Like, you know, some of them are clearly not that crazy. But you know, I do like the inclusion of all of them. I don't think there's a single one on this list where I'm like, I don't get why that one was there.
Yeah, no, they're just playing to the algorithm with that title. That's what you got to do nowadays, people.
It's all about the algorithm.
Be clickbaity. But listen, this video at the time that I watched it was already at 11,581 views. Not bad considering this guy hasn't uploaded in however long it's been. And,
well, no, Jake,
this video's
it's
only
up to
been
like
up
100. It's like 111,000. He has 11,000 subscribers or something.
What did I
like
say?
That.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant. 111. You're right. Totally. But I mean, the video has only been up for just under 2 weeks now. So, hey, he's doing pretty good. Like, I think having SteveO definitely helped give him a bit of a boost here. And having SteveO sitting there right next to Dave on camera and just chatting, it feels very casual. I like the vibe here. They're in some sort of large theater somewhere. I guess they must be doing some sort of show or something together.
Yeah, there was a live show they were doing later that day. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, yeah, this basically is just a top 10 countdown, and we get our first. I think I did this backwards, actually. I realized while I was watching the video,
Dude,
they start with number 1?
Yes, they start with number 1, and I was doing 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
So this is our fucking version. We're going to start with number 10, which is actually number 1, according to Dave. Fuck, he's new. I said this to Mikey off mic. It's Dave here is basically like someone's dad who doesn't know how YouTube works, and he's brought SteveO, you know, his son or like the kid that lives next door. Come and help me with the computer. I don't know how to check my email. This is basically the vibes that Dave is giving off. He's not too tech savvy. He's clearly just doing this because he knows, like Mikey said earlier, I got to find some work post Jackass. And good on him for doing that. Good on him. It's just funny.
You know, I'm okay with it. I also think that there's this weird, like, grassroots ground floor element to his channel right now, which is kind of enjoyable. Like, very low production quality. He barely asks you to like, subscribe, comment, like you get in every single YouTube video. So it's nice. Like, it just feels like YouTube before people figured it out. And people just put up videos, and some of them did really well and some of them didn't. Like, there's this one fucking video that always pops up in my feed. I've never clicked on it because I refuse to. And it's just the thumbnail is just an old guy looking into the camera, and the title is like advice from an old man. And it's got like 85 million views. Like, what the fuck is that?
I know which video that is. I see that.
I don't know anyone who's seen it, but it's always there. It's always there.
I know what you're talking about. That's hilarious. How is that? Fuck it. I don't know. Maybe that's the new way things got to go. Maybe it's like all reversing back. It's folding back on itself. YouTube's going to go back to like this grassroots fucking, just dads only. It's just
bring back GeoCities, man. Guys. I want GeoCities. I want that back, man. Those just fluorescent text on fluorescent background. It hurt your eyes to go. Yeah, man. I had my old Dragon Ball Z website that I made on GeoCities.
Oh, Mikey.
It's true. I did, and I'm not ashamed of it.
That's
depending
fine.
on when you ask me.
That's fine. You should relaunch it. So number 1/10. This is the SleepO Nana. And Mikey, already, what I love about this video is every time you get a number, Mikey, you know what you get with it?
Just some nice like royalty-free music or something. I'm assuming that's royalty-free, yeah.
Yeah, rockabilly, fucking royalty-free rockabilly there every time. And you're going to hear that every 20 to 40 seconds in this
video. And if you expect it to change from 10 to 1, it will not. It will stay the same. Why would they change it?
Same graphic. Works.
Yeah.
That's the same graphic every time. This is SleepO Nana, which... that's the stupidest fucking title ever, but whatever. They just met, these two. SteveO is passed out on a couch. Dave comes up with a banana, pretending to hold it in the erection position. What we need a better word for that.
It was erection position. That's
position?
I took sex ed in grade 5 and 6. That is what they told us. It was
he's got the landing gear down at this point,
he's got
essentially.
The landing gear down. Yeah,
banana is peeled, and he's trying to just bring this thing up to SteveO's open mouth and see how far he can get it in before he wakes up. And SteveO gets really mad. Like he spits at Dave.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny.
They show like a small amount of it, but like this original clip, it was from Jackass The Lost Tapes. This whole clip was 15 seconds long maximum. Like it's very short. He actually has Dave put like a little bit of cream on the tip of the banana and then puts it in SteveO's mouth. Like it is pretty funny. And what's funnier is how mad SteveO gets and how young they look in this. Holy shit, man. This looks like feels like forever ago. But what I like about this one, I'm thinking like, man, the craziest things you guys have done. And this is the first example where I'm like, this isn't crazy, but I do like it as an establishing shot of where their relationship was when they first met and barely knew each other to now sitting side by side about to do a live show together like 30 years later. It's a cool contrast. So I'm okay with this one being in it. But I have a question for you, Jay, because I was considering this. How, like, we've seen so many stunts where SteveO is sleeping and he gets pranked. Is there anyone in Jackass who sleeps on set more than SteveO? Am I crazy, or is he definitely number one with a bullet?
I think we just see him a lot. Maybe they just fuck with him most, but I don't know. That's true. That's a good point. I guess you got to be comfortable enough with the guys just to be like, fuck it, I'm going to sleep. I'm just going to pass out. Or
hungover enough that you have no choice.
Or hungover enough that you don't care anymore. Yeah, that's the thing. But you're right. It's like a death trap. I'd never sleep around these guys. You'd never catch me fucking doing that. But no. I do love that when SteveO wakes up, the rage in his eyes. He's like an angry bull. And Dave tries to reassure him in that way that only Dave can. He says, it's just a banana.
Just a banana.
It's just a banana. Like, no big deal. And
that almost makes SteveO mad because Dave says it's just a banana once. And SteveO spits at him again as if he's more mad. Like that scene from Arrested Development where he's like, where Job's like, bees? And then Michael's like, beads. He's like, beads? He's like more mad that he said beads over bees. It's great. Like, for some reason that pisses him off even more.
Now, before we move on to number 9, I guess like the question we want to know is, does SteveO, like, does he just not want a cock in his mouth, or does he just really not like bananas that much?
That's a great question. Or what was that cream? What if that cream was Dave England's cum? Like, that would change the dynamic of this quite. If he came on a banana and then put it in there, that may be why SteveO was so pissed off.
Failed to mention it in this video. I mean, I would have loved to know, but we'll never know.
We'll never know.
And coming in at number 9,
Mr. Sandman. It sounds like you're going into Mr. Sandman when you do that. I always hope it is.
Bottle skating, baby. Bottle skating. You remember this from the old Jackass 2, I believe. one or two, can't remember, but they lay all the giant, what do you call those? Didn't we have a fucking argument whether they were called jugs or bottles?
No, they have an argument in the movie because they go to I think it's Dimitri, and they're like
Yeah.
why are you calling these what did he call them? Not bottles. He called them jugs. He said they're jugs or bottles or something like that. And then there was like that was half of what this stunt was about, is whether they're called jugs or bottles.
Yeah. Like, they don't use a deck or anything here, though. They got them all laid out in the hallway, and you just want to see how far you can get trying to stay upright the whole time. And yeah, I love it. SteveO tells a story here real quick that he did a sketch, or not a sketch, but a stunt at one of his live shows where he tried to skate on stilts. So he got on the stilts and tried to get on a skateboard, immediately just fucking bailed and injured himself pretty bad, broke some ribs. So this was right before they shot barrel or bottle skating.
Yeah.
And you can even see in the clip, he's a little skittish. Like, when he's about to fall, he kind of grabs the walls of the hallway and tries to break his fall. He's probably in a lot of pain, and I don't blame him.
Well, the weird thing about this one is again, it's one of those ones that's like, the craziest things, whatever. We talked about it when we reviewed, I think this was Jackass, the movie. I actually forgot. But it was not something that we actually rated. We'll talk about a lot of sketches in each episode and each segment of the movie, but we will very seldom review what we determined to be an interstitial, and we thought this was an interstitial. So there wasn't a ton in this one, and I explicitly remember talking about it, being like, man, SteveO's a bit of a wuss in this one. Like, he overreacts. Usually he like really commits to it, but they didn't mention in the sketch that he had a busted up rib. So we just assumed he was like kind of being a baby and overselling it. This behind the scene thing makes a lot more sense. If he had a broken rib and he fell on that'd be gnarly.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I get it. And I kind of wonder, like, now that you're saying that, how many times we've given shit to, people in the show or cast members when, he could have did that better. You don't really know what's going on in someone's head or what happened the night before, or if there was a sketch they just shot that really fucked someone up and now they're coming off of that. It's something you don't think about, but now that you hear the guys talking about it, you get that background. As an audience member, it's very easy to sit here and just demand that, like, everything be up to the highest standard. But I mean, these guys put themselves through a lot, so you kind of have to remember that. It's so easy to forget.
Well, it's funny you say that now, because in the next stunt that they're going to be talking about, they explicitly mention that SteveO says standards for stunts entering the TV show were very, very low, and just about everything they filmed would end up going in the TV show. And this next one, which is our number 8, their number 3, is ice block skating from season 2, episode 8. Jay, do you remember this one well at all?
Yeah, I remember it. I remember us having quite the discussion on it. Like, I think we talked about this for a longer length of time than the actual sketch was. And I can't remember why that was, but I know there was some dispute over it for some reason. It was one of the ones where there wasn't enough build up and there wasn't as much of a progression. Like, usually when they start with a weird stunt or a weird sport, they start really shitty and they get really good. This one was strange because, like, when it started out, Dave England, I remember, was really good at it. Basically, they just strapped these big honks of ice, like cubes of ice, like honestly, almost like 2 feet by half a foot or something like that. And they are like a foot by a foot by half a foot. And they try to go downhill skiing with the ice blocks on their feet. And Dave England, being the snowboarder that he is really good. SteveO was really fucking bad at it, and he ate shit. Yeah. He somehow landed on his head. Like, he fell, and immediately, like, the only thing to break his fall was his face. And you very rarely see that happen with SteveO. He's pretty acrobatic. But it's good to have these two talking, because one was clearly the best and one was clearly the worst. Yeah, definitely. What about the cocaine usage? You want to talk about that some more?
Yeah, so SteveO says, or Dave England calls out SteveO and says, while we were doing this, Trip Taylor started yelling at SteveO because they caught him doing cocaine on set. And what surprised me about that wasn't the fact that SteveO was doing coke on set. It was the fact that Trip Taylor was really pissed off at him for doing cocaine on set. Like, I assumed everyone was drinking and doing coke on set in Jackass. Do you know what I mean? Like, was that a surprise that he was pissed off? Am I crazy to assume that everyone just would have been high out of their minds doing this stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. Back in those days too, you make a good point. Like the TV days, especially. Yeah, how strict were things, you know? Really, I mean, it's not like they were big time stars at that point and it was like getting in the way of the movie. Like I would say, or of the shoot, but I'd say at that point it was probably more just like the guys having fun. So yeah, I didn't really understand it either, but maybe it was like an MTV thing. Who knows, man? I don't know.
Do you remember, top of your head, do you remember what you rated this one? If I were to make you guess?
No, I don't have it in front of me. So top of my head, I probably went low. I'm gonna say like a 3. Was it?
No,
a 3?
it was a 5 for me, a 5 for Chris, and a 5.5 for you. You liked it more than anyone. Honestly, it's weird because I thought I liked it more than my rating would have suggested at 5. But this was at a time, season 2, episode 8, where we were surrounded by some really fucking good episodes. And I think we were just a little bit disappointed by the ending of season 2, episode 8, or some of the stunts that were included, because it was a little bit of a lull compared to some of the really high end episodes that we've been seeing. So the thing again that sticks out with me is the very, like, while I was watching it, I was like, man, Dave's really got this down pat. And then at the end, when he's walking up the hill and he looks into the camera, I remember so vividly, he just says like, I was the best at that. Like, he's just so proud of himself. I'm like, you know what, Dave, you were good on you.
Yeah, that's what I love about him. Like I said, it's always the quips, the quips. Moving on, though, to number 7, I think there's a lot more for us to chew on here. No pun intended. This is the Vomlet. And no wonder Chris isn't here today. You know, I had a feeling there was some reason he didn't want to show up. Maybe it was this.
That's it.
Listen.
He seems to share a lot with Danger Aaron, apparently, who could not handle being in the hotel room after smelling the vomlets.
But I love that story that they do tell about Aaron, because, you know, Dave and SteveO are doing the omelet. They're in the hotel. Like the smell is just filling up the room. But Aaron had just gotten injured skating. He broke an arm or something like that. And he comes in out of the hospital. It's been like, you know, just sitting in waiting rooms, getting checked. And he's hungry, right? So he comes in and he says, what's that smell? Like, do we have leftovers, right? I just thought that was hilarious. Like, I guess maybe when you're just really hungry, you can't detect the vomit in the,
I don't know, man. I bet you.
Maybe it smelled like an omelet. Maybe
I bet you it did. I bet you when you cook the stomach acids, it probably just mixes with that. Like, you probably smell the egg more than the stomach acid.
But I mean, you've smelled fresh puke after like a big party. Someone, you know, went and destroyed
but I've
your
never
toilet.
cooked that
smell
puke.
That smell.
I've never thrown that puke on a skillet. You know what I mean?
I can't imagine it gets better though.
That's a very good point. That's
the thing.
Yeah.
So just the fact that Aaron ate it is so crazy to me.
No, he didn't eat it. They didn't say that, and I can't imagine he would have.
Because he said he was mad after he found out. So, like, why would you be mad if he hadn't?
Because imagine someone told you that the room you're about to sleep in, the smell that you're going to smell all day is cooked vomit. I wouldn't be able to stay in that room either, whether I ate it or not. That's just fucking disgusting.
Yeah, it's funny what the perception, like what your brain will do once you know, like if we knew all the terrible shit that was actually in our food, and like when you go eat a fast food burger, how many like skin flakes and boogers and shit land in your food.
Yeah.
Boogers and cum, people, boogers and cum. Go watch the South Park 25th anniversary concert. It was really good. But like if only we knew, I wonder how many things would just be off the fucking menu, you know?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Everything. Literally everything. There's this TikTok account that shows microscopic images of everything around our house, like our computer mouse, bananas, butter, everything. And there are just little animals just fucking hanging out. Like Endor. Like there's like, you get these
wait a minute, what?
It looks like Endor. You just have these little creatures running around like like with sticks, hucking sticks at stormtroopers on my sticks of butter. No. I want to eat that shit. Never show me a microscopic thing of anything I have to be within 30 feet of, ever. I never want to see it. It's gross. There's a reason why we can't see it. Our brains can't handle it. It's like H.P. Lovecraft. Like there's these disgusting, crazy creatures around us all the time, and our mind just refuses to accept that they're there, so we just don't see them. That's my theory on why things are microscopic. Do you, by the way, like one major difference, we haven't reviewed this version of the Vomlet on the podcast. We did the season 3 version where it's just Dave England. And that's the version that most people have seen. This was from a while ago, I think from the Lost Tapes or something along those lines, when SteveO was involved in it as well. This one's good, but I kind of preferred the version that we saw a little bit more. It lets Dave shine a little bit. Because I love Dave's character work, if you can call it that. And then also having Johnny Knoxville in a hazmat suit, being the one person on set who can't handle it. Very rare to see Knoxville in a state where he's a little bit, he's doing worse than everyone else. So I like those rare moments of weakness for him.
Yeah, minus a few points for no hazmat suit, though.
Yes,
of course.
Exactly.
Gotta have the hazmat suit.
Gotta have it. You gotta have it.
I'm with you, though. I like the updated version, but just the fact that he did it twice is hilarious to me. Like, he thought, oh, that was good. Let's do that again.
Let's do it. Imagine doing that and it not making the TV show. That would suck so bad.
It looks like such a fucking strain in the season 3 version. Like, he's just not having a good time. And I could be wrong about this, but I almost remember in the season 3 version, like, he's not really happy to be there, and that could be just my memory.
No, that's your memory.
I almost wonder if it's because
he's pretending to be so happy-go-lucky. Like he's just like, hey, it's cooking with Dave, and that's when you get that amazing scene where he's like,
I must be picturing when he's trying to eat the whole stick of butter because he's pretty uncomfortable in that part.
Very uncomfortable. He almost throws up. He's like, not yet, not yet. Yeah. Fantastic. One of my favorite stunts of all time.
Oh, God. Well, imagine having a belly full of all the ingredients to cook an omelet and then having to get into the back of the roller disco truck.
Oh, man.
Number 6, baby. I'm surprised to find out SteveO was scared to get in the truck. Like, I would be for sure if I knew what was about to come, but I didn't really expect that from SteveO. I thought, I kind of put him on the level of like, and they reference this, of a Bam Margera, where it's like, yeah, I'll do just about anything. So that was a surprise to me.
It is a surprise, but I kind of get the sense that SteveO does everything, but he's always afraid to do the painful things. A lot of the times, it does seem like Bam just kind of goes in it and like, that's devil may care, like whatever, I'm just going to fucking do it. And sometimes he's like excited to do it. But I do remember a lot of situations where SteveO is afraid or like scared to do something or hesitant to do something. And there's a couple of them in just this list alone. What surprised me more was like how afraid everyone was to do this one. Like the roller, like
it's fucking dangerous though, man.
It is dangerous, like, but it also, it just doesn't seem as dangerous as some of the other things that we've seen. And maybe that's why it's scarier in real life, just because there's real danger here. We have no idea. We're on roller skates. We can barely stand on roller skates, let alone when an angry Preston Lacey is getting his revenge on us for making him eat 50 eggs and drink a bunch of liters of eggnog, and do donuts in a parking lot. I can see why it was scary. And it reminds me of what was the one that came in, I think Jackass 2 was was this one from No, this is Jackass 1. Jackass 2 has the medicine ball dodgeball with the lights turned off. Oh, kind of a similar vibe to this, where like, how do you even protect yourself?
I know. Oh my God. I guess we got to talk about the standout moment. Speaking of protecting yourself, and they mentioned this, SteveO and Dave, when Bam just lets himself go and Preston happens to be like slamming on the brakes at that moment and face first into the wall. Now, I kind of read this differently now that they're talking about it, because I'll just give some context first. SteveO says that Bam was just willing to go and he was up for anything. Like, he would just go 100% into it. And they talk about how when he flies forward and just no protection, doesn't put his hands up, just lets himself hit that wall full force. They speak with like this sense of admiration in the tone of their voice. Like, you hear it, like they're like, wow, that's pretty gnarly. But what I didn't catch on that first viewing, I always kind of thought when I saw it, oh, that was not supposed to happen. Like, Bam was trying to stand up, or he was trying to reorient himself, and then someone hit the brakes and he just flew against his will, and that's why he didn't react or put his hands up. But now that they frame it like that, I could totally see Bam just waiting 100%. For that to happen. And it makes so much more sense. But regardless, I always thought that was like the funniest part of the roller disco.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, but holy shit, that's like at the expense of so many goddamn brain cells
and teeth, and a nose or two. I don't know how many noses he has, at least one of them. But no, I agree with you, because the more I think about it, Bam is great. Like, remember we were all the skating scenes with Bam, like when he's doing fat fucks, and he's skating in a way that makes it look like he's about to fall down all the time. And when he's throwing punches against his dad, he looks like he's throwing with all his effort. Like he's got that professional wrestler thing where he can sell a fall and sell a hit really well. And I think he just has that willingness to just ragdoll himself and let himself eat shit. You know, he's a skater, one of the better skaters of all time, probably. Like he's, you know, one of the best professional skaters we've seen. So his reaction skills and his reaction times are amazing. I assume if he wanted to, rather than his hands going out like this, he could have put them forward. I think he probably did sell it, and good on him. And good on SteveO for still finding ways to praise Bam. You know, I know Bam's made a lot of mistakes, but it feels like SteveO is a guy who's always going to be in his corner. And it makes me happy to know that he's got that support no matter how many times he makes mistakes. When he finally does make the decision to go sober for good or to get his life back on track for good, SteveO is always going to be there for him. It's nice, and it's noticeable that he goes out of his way to give praise to Bam.
Yeah. Oh, totally, man. And well deserved. And I got to say that moment too, when Bam I was just thinking about it. You're standing there on roller skates, nobody in front of you. You got a clear path to the back of the truck, the back wall there. And yeah, of course, when someone hits the brakes, you're just going to roll. But I'm just thinking about the way he rolls. It's kind of like, because he doesn't move, it's like one of those horror movies where the little girl is levitating and stiff in the air. And then she just fucking like, you know, it's like, I am the eye of Satan. Just like straight forward at the camera. And
yeah, like
that's
the scene
Bam.
in
He's possessed by the devil.
The scene in Hereditary when the ghost or someone just like levitates up into the treehouse, like doesn't move anything, and just like, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's amazing.
Yeah, dude. It's gnarly. Go watch that again.
It's how every horror movie with a little ghost girl ends its trailer, with the ghost just quickly moving straight to the camera. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, dude. I love that sketch even still, despite how stupid it is and dangerous it is to do. But again, we say this all the time. That's why people watch this show. It's this. Because I ain't getting in the back of a truck and doing that. So
now keep in mind this one was in the middle of Jackass 1. And that was Jackass 1 was when we really started to see the budget being put towards drawing out these larger stunts with a bit more of a punchline and a bit more of like a story thread through them. So we gave that one 6.9s all around. You, me, and Chris all gave it a 6.9. Still good, but not the best in the movie.
Yeah, memorable for sure. Honestly, now that we're talking about it, I would have rated that a little bit higher. I really like this one. It's pretty good. But we're about halfway through the count now, getting down to number 5. This is the Beehive Limo. I don't know what's worse, being stuck in a vehicle just full with bees or full of a bunch of idiots on roller skates and disco attire, but I think either way you go, you're kind of screwed, especially when you're Dave England. The theme is
dangerous interiors of moving vehicles. Pretty much. That's what we got here, yeah.
And Dave, with the worst diarrhea he's had in a while, he says now they convinced him to go. It was like a photo shoot they were doing. At least that's what they told him. And, you know, they got him in there. And you can see, and when they play back the clip and he says, oh, no, seriously, don't touch me. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, like it's some bad diarrhea. And this does confirm our suspicion, because we talked about this. Was this A, real diarrhea? And B, was this possibly a carryover from the hardware toilet? I would say, I don't think it was from the hardware toilet. I think Dave just had diarrhea. I think that's a Dave England
we thought that this was going to be like another version of that, or another stunt where he shits himself. Like, we thought he was chock full of laxatives, but it turns out that wasn't the case. Like, Dave just does have a weird relationship with shit. You know, it's a very significant thing in his life. I don't know why.
His bowel is a slip and slide.
It's very much a slip and slide. Yeah.
It's very much.
But I liked hearing that, because I remember explicitly us talking about, like, why does he have to shit so bad? Because they don't mention it at all in this stunt.
I think I remember you saying that you thought it was faked. Like, you thought he was just putting that on for the bit. I could be wrong about that.
No, though. I don't think so, because I know he didn't know that this was happening. So I thought that what they did is they told him that for the photo shoot, he's going to have to shit himself. So take a bunch of laxatives. So, and then I thought maybe that's what they set up. Yeah, but it wasn't the case. By the way, I will say before we go any further, this is the one on the list that I'm happiest to see. This is one of my favorite Jackass stunts of all time. I love the Bee Limo so much. And just revisiting it, even in the limited amount of time that we did in this video, just made me so fucking happy.
Yeah, dude. No, it's great. I forgot how great it was too. And I love that even after all these years, this can get picked apart and talked about even more. And there's little bits of it that, you know, we asked questions about that I feel like got answered in this video. So that was really exciting. So let's dive into that and talk about some of those things. The first one that I think Chris would have loved is that SteveO specifically references his Wild Boys training here and says he learned to just stay the fuck still when in danger around animals. And you can see that, but I wouldn't have put two and two together like that. It's him and Wee Man who both know, and they're just sitting there. You see him in the corner of the frame, not moving. And I always wondered, because the thing is, you don't really pick up on that when you watch it, but
your eye goes to whoever's giving the big reaction, right?
Exactly. I do recall, and again, because this was so long since we had the discussion, but when we reviewed this, I feel like we were kind of alluding to this as well, where it was like, okay, these guys are just making it worse on themselves by jumping and kicking and, you know, moving around. I think that got brought up. So it's interesting that SteveO knew, okay, like this is the way to go. This is how I'm going to get out of this situation. Even though the producers were mad at him for not playing into the bit.
That's amazing. They explicitly mentioned that Jeff Tremaine is like, dude, you ruined the shot. You guys weren't reacting. Like, you ruined the shot. He's like, sell it, which you don't love to hear because you want all the reactions to be genuine. But I don't think that necessarily ruins the aura of Jackass, because I also think a lot of people are in pain all the time. I think you learn how to sell a fall, and I think everything still genuinely hurts and is genuinely scary. It's just easier if the actors or the people who are involved also kind of like bump it up a notch, like show how you're feeling inside, don't hold anything back. So it's like, and then even because one of my favorite like cherries on the top of any stunt is the fact that after the B limo, they have marbles outside of the limo. Did we mention, I mean, everyone knows the B limo at this point, but essentially they're just in the limo and they dump bees into the sunroof and then close the sunroof, lock all the doors. So they just have to deal with it. But as they're finally escaping the limo, they have all these marbles outside. Dave eats shit. Everyone eats shit. SteveO somehow doesn't. And imagine someone tries to prank you and you're just so cool that it doesn't work, even though it's the most gnarly prank ever, and you get in trouble for it. I'd be like, fuck you guys. Like, Jeff, you sit in there. What are you talking about? I'm not gonna wave my arms around and invite bee stings. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. I love the way Dave too, when they talk about the marbles, he says, I ate shit on the marbles and then I went and exploded diarrhea immediately after off camera. So
well, that's not what I remember though. Because remember, he comes back.
No, what?
No, because he leaves, he runs away as he always does. Just a typical Dave reaction, just sprinting away. Then he comes back and he goes to the camera and he like waves the camera over and he's like, guys, look, I pissed myself. And they show he pissed himself. I would have loved to have seen him shit himself. That would have been a great shot too. But
I think he had to make a choice in that moment. It was a very Mass Effect, you know, Renegade Paragon choice.
He pulled the right trigger for sure.
Yeah. Or do I piss myself? One had to go, but it didn't have to be both. And I think he had enough bodily control to know.
Or he's like, if I show the camera the fact that I pissed myself, they're not going to ask to see whether I shit myself. So he's like giving them enough, but not the real business, which is on the backside of him.
In fact, I give him props because it's actually funnier that the guy with diarrhea pissed himself instead of shitting himself.
That like, seems like how you control one and not the other. Yeah. Or maybe he did shit himself and then he took his underwear off and put it on backwards. It could be. I don't know. I was the biggest takeaway from this one, apart from the fact that Jeff Tremaine was getting mad at them for not selling the reaction or mad at SteveO, is the fact that neither of them watched the Jackass movies. They're like, yeah, no, we don't watch that shit.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, like SteveO does put Jackass #2 over and say it's the best, but then right after, no, I don't watch that shit. Yeah, neither do I. It's like it was almost like it was icky for them. Ooh, I don't watch that. Ugh. I guess weird. They don't want to appear, you know, full of themselves, but regardless, maybe they just don't find it interesting. There's people out there who don't like the sound of their own voice or seeing themselves on camera or whatever. So it could be that phenomenon of like, I did it and that's good enough. I don't need to, you know, see it again.
Don't need to live through it. Plus, a lot of it, knowing what we know about Dave now, PTS Dave, is that it's probably pretty traumatic to watch yourself go through that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. One little fun fact that the last one that I picked from this discussion is that the driver did in fact get stung too. They said some bees went through the air conditioning duct and got past the window divider that was put up to protect him. So that's why you see the driver running and taking his jacket off.
Yeah, because we were curious about that. We knew he was separated, but we didn't know how he ended up getting stung. So it's good to know that. Well, I mean, they're assuming that the bee got through the air conditioning duct, which, holy shit, what a journey that thing went on.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Like,
how did it find its fucking way? It's the Lemmy-winks of bees minus Richard Gere's asshole.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But hey, you want to go from one set of bees to another? Let's talk a bit about number 4, the Beehive Tetherball. SteveO immediately looks at Dave and just says, "You just didn't learn to chill, dude. You just needed to chill." And that he keeps coming back to that. You know, I love that in this one, Dave. He says, "Well, I couldn't chill because I had the bees in my bear flaps," and he's wearing,
a bee in my fucking ear. How am I supposed to chill?
Yeah,
what are you talking
it was like
about?
A bear costume, right? And that he had like one of those warm hats with the flaps on the side. And I remember this now, like in the movie, they got the setup. They haven't even tossed the beehive around the tetherball pole yet, and he's like itching his ears and screaming and yelling and. Yeah, it totally makes sense. I just remember laughing hysterically watching this in the movie because the image is so funny of him, like, you know, kicking one leg up in the air and his head's tilted. It's like he's trying to get water out of his ear.
He looks like Kramer in the season finale of Seinfeld trying to get the water out of his ear, right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
amazing. Before I forgot to mention our scores from the Bee Limo. I gave it a 10, Chris gave it a 10, and you gave it a 7.5. That was from Jackass 2. But yeah, Beehive Tetherball, we actually haven't done Jackass 3D on the podcast yet, so we don't have any reviews for it.
Yeah.
But I do remember this one pretty well. I remember one of the funniest moments of Jackass 3D. It comes when they're asking Manny, they're like, how many bee stings until like can kill someone? And he's like, probably 100 bee stings or so. And then SteveO and Dave look at him and they're like, there are 50,000 bees here. What are we even doing? And then the animal expert's like, no, there's 50,000 per beehive, and we got about 6 beehives. So, and they're like, okay, so we're not doing this. And then I think one of the producers from off screen says, well, just get up to 99 and then run away, and you'll be fine. It was just fucking awesome. But
yeah,
that like setting the stage there, Dave was already terrified before they started to do the tetherball. So I think it was panicking. I think he started to spiral, and the more he got outrageously like arm wavy and all that stuff, the more the bees went after him. However, the funniest part about this interview is SteveO, because he is as proud of himself as like he's so proud of himself about the way he handles bees and all that stuff. But he's like, I don't even think I got stung once. And then the smash cut to him yelling and screaming because he just got stung by a bee on the tetherball thing. That was great.
The exact same pose as Dave too. The one leg up in the air, trying to get the water out of the ear. It's hilarious. And I love SteveO's confidence there, but it is also funny that he was wrong about that. It just makes that bit that much more enjoyable. I do love that as much as he keeps coming back to that, like chill out with the bees. He does bring up that when they did the I'm forgetting the
bikini from Jackass Forever.
In Forever, like he does say that, you know what, despite the chill out advice, like I just couldn't chill out because as soon as they started getting me there, I'm freaking out. I'm yelling, I'm screaming. And you had mentioned, I remember, because this wasn't that long ago. So this one I knew this was going to
come up. Yeah.
You had said that you thought he was just really putting that on for the bit so it wasn't boring. But I don't know.
This kind of changed my mind. This kind of changed my mind because seeing the pride with which he talks about how he can handle bees and knowing how screaming and everything riles them up and makes it worse. I can't imagine he's trying to rile the bees up while they're on his cock and balls. So I don't think he wants to ruin that allure of like, I know how I am the bee whisperer. I can do whatever I want. So I actually kind of don't think he was selling it. And I think similar to what happened to Dave in the tetherball, he probably just spiraled and started panicking and then panicking and panicking. And that's where it all came from.
You see, this shit is very educational. I actually feel like this short 8-minute video has taught me something. I've gained knowledge to a question that I think many of us have had. Like, if you've ever heard of, like, you remember back in the old school days, Mikey, when they had the Guinness World Book of Records, and everybody would talk about one of the ones other than the fucking fingernails that you would always talk about. Was the man who did, I think it was the beer to bees.
Right.
You remember that? And
I do remember the beer to bees.
The question was, well, how does he do that and not get stung? Like, how do you do that? I think what I'm learning from this and this Jackass video is that if you're going to do anything that involves a large volume of bees like that, you're just going to get stung, and it's pretty much unavoidable. It's how you handle it that really counts.
That's true. That's
determines
true.
how much you're going to get stung. But I don't think there's any scenario where you go into something like this and you come out without any bee stings. I just don't think that exists.
Especially if you're doing something active, you know, like the Tetherball or the bee limo. The one exception would have been the bikini. But I think, you know, him screaming and yelling would have riled them up. And people around him were also getting stung. Poopy's got stung while picking his nose, which was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. And I mean, other than that, I don't have a lot more to say on this one. Is there anything you want to close on with this one, or should we move on to the final three?
No, just that I do think that this is, you know, Jackass 3D is often overlooked as one of the movies. You know, everyone, they're like, oh, it peaked at number 2, but that doesn't mean 3 isn't worth watching. And this one is a very underrated sketch from what I would consider an underrated movie.
Yeah, and if you want to make that argument, well, you can fuck off, because number 3 is the Electric Avenue, which is one of my favorites from Jackass 3D. This is, you may remember it as the hallway full of tasers hanging on ropes, spinning, and all sorts of shit.
Everyone's
Plus
dressed up as prisoners, and Johnny Knoxville's there as a guard, saying that the prisons are overrun, so they're giving them a chance at freedom, but they have to make it through the Electric Avenue, which is amazing.
Okay. Here's the question then. If that was a real scenario, Mikey, if you had been imprisoned and you still had like 5 years left to go on the sentence, but they offered you this, but it was like a, let's say like 100-yard dash through, would you do it? Would you brave it, or would you just stay in prison?
Here's the thing. Like, this is probably just pure ignorance on my part, but this one doesn't look that bad to me. They get stung with tasers all the time on this fucking show. And the fact that it's swinging and swaying means you're going to get a shock, but it's not being held against you, right? So yes, I would do it. I would probably cry and shit my pants like Dave England, you know, 20 meters in. Like I wouldn't last very long. But the fact that this one was scaring them as much as it was, everyone, like SteveO was like, I'm gonna have a panic attack. I can't breathe. Bam's like out of his mind. It surprised me that similar to the disco roller truck one, that this was as crazy for them as it ended up being. Would you do it? Do you think you'd do it?
To get out of a prison sentence? Yeah, probably as much as.
What about to knock a year off of a 10-year sentence?
Oh, that's tougher. But a year is a long time though.
A year is a long time. Will you recover in a year after doing this? Yeah, who knows?
I don't know. Depends how fucked up you get, I guess. Man, the one thing that always worried me about this is, what if someone got one of those in the fucking eye? Like, it's something you almost don't even think about.
SteveO almost does. SteveO gets one in the face towards the end of it. I don't know if you remember that, but SteveO takes one to the face. So SteveO does. The weird thing about this one, to me, calling it like one of the craziest things that Dave England ever did with SteveO, is you don't even see Dave England do the course. You see him in the background, but you actually don't see him doing the tires, because there's like the you got to do that like football run over the tires throughout the obstacle course. You don't see Dave England do it. So I'm sure he did, and I'm sure it sucked, but we haven't actually seen that footage. Yeah,
but regardless though, there's a lot of fear here going in, and you're right, you don't really get, I guess, a close up of Dave, and you don't really get that experience, but he does retell us a bit of a story about getting zapped and falling onto one of the 2x4s, and he says he gets a hematoba in his arm. Hematoba, is that correct? I didn't even know what that, I'd never heard of that until he said hematoba.
I think it's supposed to be a hematomen, But it's on his elbow, and you can actually see
hematoma. Sorry,
hematoma. Yeah, you can actually
just a big bruise.
Not even a bruise. It raises. It's like a
skin.
blood blister. Like it's UFC fighters get it all the time on their forehead.
Okay, that's what that is. Gotcha.
But you can see it throughout the rest of the movie. He has it, and it kind of doesn't go away. Even in the B Tetherball, you can see it. He's kind of, when he's walking away with no shirt on, you can see he's got a big lump on his elbow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's still one of the standouts for me, and I can't wait talking about all of these Jackass 3, the movie part 3. Like, I want to go and watch that, so I'm hoping that that'll be in the cards sooner or later, because, man, I remember this being good. And I don't know, I'm thinking about what you said about how people say it peaked at 2, and I would agree. I think 2 is the best movie.
Yes.
But going back into 3 and seeing stuff like this, I think they definitely still had that kind of lack of fear for what would happen to them. It's like I just 100%. Said here, someone could have went blind doing this permanently, like easily, or worse things could have happened too. Someone could have broken a neck here, or like that type of thing could have happened. I feel like in Jackass Forever, there's a lot of hardcore stuff, but like you compare it to 3, it's worlds apart. If
3 was more about pain.
So
it was definitely more about pain. Yeah.
I think if you're a Jackass fan and you're not sure about 3, go back and rewatch it. There's a lot there. And if you can get the 3D version and watch it in that original format, all the better, because the fucking dildos, man.
The dildos.
It's pure magic. No one had done anything like that before. You have to keep that in mind. When you go to the theater for the first time, I know, well, I'll save this for our Jackass 3 review when we get there, but I do want to say, when you go to the theater for the first fucking time and see that, that's a life changer. I never forgot. That was better to me than Avatar. You know how people were getting like homesick for Avatar? I was just at home just crying myself to sleep at night because I wanted to see more of those dildos just fucking flopping towards my face.
100%. James Cameron watched Jackass 3D and thought, fuck, I missed it. I should have. I dropped the ball. That's why he's making the next Avatar movies, the next 9 Avatar movies that he's announced, because he needs to have a dildo scene in it somewhere.
Yeah, I hear the fleshlight budget on that is going to be unreal. So just
the blue fleshlights that you have to plug your tail into. Yeah.
All right. So we got 2 left to go. This next one, I don't think there's a lot we can say about it because they don't say a whole lot about it, but it's the enema long jump. The one thing that Dave does say about it that stood out to me was when he said, I had a rainbow diarrhea. Like, I'm trying to put this together because I've never seen this before.
No, you did. This is also Jackass 3D, but it's just a smaller
in the movie.
It may be 3.5.
Holy shit! Okay, I can't remember.
It's from that era. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, but I'm excited to find out one day.
It's actually hilarious. And by the way, we should say that we will be doing Jackass 3D and 3.5 soon on the podcast, soon-ish. We just want to finish off a couple things, do a couple more random entries before we jump back into a project, because that's like 4 or 5 episodes when we do it. But this one's great. Everyone does an enema and then has to go do a long jump, and they see how long you go.
Okay,
here's the thing.
That makes sense.
SteveO, you know how SteveO is super proud of the fact that he's super calm around bees. Like that's all he's talking about. Dave England has that sort of fondness towards his shit sketches. He speaks so lovingly about them, and that's what I love so much. And when he talks about how he won this one, like he absolutely fucking won this one.
Yeah.
Everyone goes, and usually what happens is they do the long jump and then they stand and then they shit their pants, their underwear. Dave England is the only guy who jumps and shits himself in the air. And guess what? He goes an extra 1.5 feet farther than everyone. So that could be the boost that he needed. I don't know. I've seen what's this show, For All Mankind? I know enough about space travel to understand that maybe the physics of shitting will push him that extra foot. I don't know.
If this is a 3.5 thing, I gotta go find it because I can't remember if I've seen it. But
it's amazing. It's amazing.
I just for a second, and listeners at home, you can follow along with us on this one if you want. Just Mikey, just picture what it would be like to be full of fluid and then have to run while holding it in like that. I could just feel it, that feeling of just like, okay, it'd be tight asshole, cheeks together, and then trying to jump. Like, I don't think there's any scenario where you can jump and it doesn't come out. Like, you can keep that.
No, but the point is that it has to come out. And that's why no one's really willing to give it until they land. And the funniest thing about this one is like, I don't care if it's planned for the camera. I don't care if you just did an enema. There's no way you can't shit yourself on camera without feeling a little bit of shame, just a little bit of shame. And everyone does, except for Dave. He's so proud of himself for having shit. He's so happy about it. It's amazing.
Oh my God. Okay. So it turns out there was a lot more to talk about there than I anticipated, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But we got to move on to the final one. And if you're not sick of that rockabilly stock music by now, you can take a deep breath. It's going to be over right after this. This is, according to Dave, number 10. Number 1 for us. This is the brick drop.
Oh.
This is the first thing they were going to shoot, according to Dave, for the new movie. This is, if you don't recall, the 4 guys with up on a high platform, like almost like a gallows, if you will.
Yes.
Except we're not hanging by the neck this time. We're hanging by the cock and balls.
Well, SteveO said it was an
dropping a brick.
homage to Old School, which I didn't realize.
He does say that.
It makes total sense because in Old School they stand. It's like a trust fall thing where they stand on this ledge and they have to drop a cinder block, which is tied to a rope, which is tied to their dick. They do that, but the trust is that only 2 people are going to have the rope short enough that it essentially rips their dick off. This one's hard for me to even talk about. This one grosses me the fuck out because of what happens to Dave England's dick. Ugh, I hate it. I like this. This is just, especially because what they do is they tie it behind the cock and balls. And they say that as though that's supposed to be protecting you. But I almost would have rather just tied it to the dick. Because I'd worry it just pops you. Like, what if the rope just like pushed your testicle out of your urethra? Like, I'm thinking it like pops it out. I don't know science that well, but I feel like
your
it just
ball ends up in your shaft under the foreskin somehow.
It just pops it right out. That's what I picture happening in this one, and it's so disgusting. Dave breaks his dick just about. Fucking hell, it's so gross.
Yeah, you're right. Thinking about it is hard. God. And I love Dave's enthusiasm though, because he goes into it saying like it was the first thing we were going to shoot. I'm going to have a positive attitude about this. He says he wasn't even thinking about how much it was going to hurt or how dumb of an idea it was. He was just happy to be there. And yeah, he's certainly not feeling that way afterwards, if I recall. But man, like you're so right. Where really could you tie this though that it wouldn't cause damage? Because I mean,
Nowhere.
if you didn't do the balls, if you just did the shaft, maybe they're worried it would just like rip your dick clean off and you'd just be left with a set of balls. Like maybe having that anchor, it's kind of like putting on the brakes, because once the rope tightens around your scrotum, it kind of has a stopping point. I don't know. I mean, I'm not fucking expert at this.
Well,
stuff,
according to SteveO, that's what happened because it created enough of an anchor that it snapped the rope. Right?
Yeah. But the thing that I don't get here is why do this? Because it's Jackass. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, man. I like having a dick more than I like doing a sketch. If I'm one of those guys, I don't know. I think it'd be too risky. This would be one that I would. Like, I'd pull a Pontius and say, hey, I'll do this other thing if you don't make me do this one.
Honestly, this one just felt
I'll drink
like
whatever you want.
Yeah, I would rather drink a cup of horse semen than doing this one. This one just creeps me the fuck out. It even, like I said, it hurts me to talk about this one. But you know what I noticed in this when they're talking about it? I don't know if you picked up on this, Jay. In this interview, Dave England is sitting next to SteveO, and his right arm is so much stronger than his left arm, like wildly stronger than his left arm, to the point where it's like concern. I almost didn't want to bring it up because I'm like, is something wrong, or is he just the strongest right arm person in the world? I'm going to share this image with you. Okay. Tell me if you can see. Can you see my screen here?
Not yet.
Okay, hang on. Let me see if I can do this. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to. Okay, here we go. Check this out. Okay, you can see this. You can see this here.
Oh yeah.
Now it's that whole thing where it's like 1,000 of my screen.
The hall of mirrors. Yeah.
Okay, watch this.
All right. Are you actually screen capped it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Look at his right arm versus his left
there?
arm. That is insane, isn't it?
Is that just a camera? I wonder if it's because they're using a fisheye lens. You know how it distorts at the end of the lens to get them both in frame? It could be,
but you don't see it like that on SteveO.
Huh.
Yeah.
Whoa, that is some weird
It's pretty
shit.
crazy. It's pretty crazy. So
Is it just
I'll
the way
show
his
that.
arm is laying down? I don't understand at all. What am I looking at there? Like, that is the weirdest shit.
If you're listening to this and you want to see what I just shared, head over to our YouTube channel. You can just search Jackast and you can see it there. But that, I was like, he looks like a fucking superhero. He looks like Hulk halfway through his transformation. Like he's just like almost there. Like
Mikey will put that on the social media, and he'll put a big red circle on the right bicep there with the subtitle.
I won't need to circle it.
What
I'm not
pesticides are doing to your children? Like, you know, the 15 dangers of. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those.
Exactly. Yeah.
It'll be a conspiracy to explain why aliens exist somehow. It'll all loop together.
That's Chris's job. That's more of a Chris thing than a me thing. But yeah. So that's it. Those are the 10 sketches, the 10 stunts, the 10 craziest things that Dave Anglin did with SteveO. What did you think of this list overall?
I think that it needs a better edit. Let's start at number 10 next time, Dave. Yeah. But you're doing good. Points for effort. He'll figure it out. But my dad took some time too. You know, it's the internet's a confusing thing. No, but overall, seriously,
what's your dad's YouTube channel? What's he do?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I wish he had one.
Talking about all the other kids in the world he'd rather have, and each one of his videos highlights one of them.
All of them are list videos. And Macaulay Culkin's in at least 7 of those. I don't know why.
Is number 1 in most of them. Yeah.
But no, this list is it's a good list. I actually like that it was picked by the guys. And I was thinking about this after I finished watching it. It's like, there wasn't a lot of high octane shit in there, but it's probably just because it had to be stuff that the two of them did together, and they really probably haven't had a ton of experience together. In fact, drumming together this list was probably a bit of a stretch for them, because they had to figure out, okay, like, what have we done?
Sure.
And you can tell, like, the fact that there's certain things in here, just like going back to the banana at the beginning. It's like, I wouldn't really call that a Jackass sketch, but it's something they did together, I guess.
Yeah.
Overall, it was fun, though. Like, I think more than the list being good or bad, I just liked seeing the two of them together talking, because I don't think we've really had that interaction between these two to this level yet. So that was cool.
England's been on Wild Ride a couple times, and those are always fun. But you know, I think Dave England is, I've always said, probably my favorite member of Jackass, and SteveO is close as well. He's fantastic. So to have these two juggernauts, what I would consider to be juggernauts, who aren't always front and center, I think this is great. You know, and by that I mean, you know, you always got Johnny Knoxville and you always got Bam. Those guys are like the stars. And then there's kind of a supporting cast. And of the supporting cast, I've always loved Dave and I've always loved SteveO. So to get them side by side is great. Give a little bit of insight into some of these things that I didn't realize before. I'm a big fan. And I do kind of like how raw it is. I don't know how much of an appeal that will have 6 months from now, but to see the channel just starting out, you're going to see a lot of improvement, I think, to the overall quality of Dave's videos. But definitely check it out. It's like we said, a 9-minute video with an hour's worth of discussion topics, like we just got through in this one. So you'll enjoy it.
Fast forward to 12 months from now, and Dave's videos might look something more like, hey guys, listen, I know it's been a while since I've uploaded. Listen, it's just this algorithm keeps changing. You know, I'm uploading. YouTube isn't showing you my videos. I don't know what to do anymore. And I feel like I got to go on a bit of a vacation. So I know some of you won't understand. You'll miss me every week, but I just need to do this for me. You know, I feel like YouTube is taking over my life.
He's doing a somber goodbye already. Yeah.
Creator burnout in addition.
So here's me opening up a can of bees in front of me and hoping that this video tricks the algorithm into getting more people to watch. Yeah,
but
which
I think
probably will.
This is, I'm happy. Like, I know I'm poking fun, but I'm happy to see Dave doing some stuff, because I really genuinely enjoy hearing Dave talk. He's just fun to listen to. I think he probably has a lot of good stories. And the thing that I said this to you, Mikey, Dave always is very positive and always very down to earth. And he seems like the kind of guy who would talk about just about anything and have a good laugh with you. And I like that. Like, we need more of that and less of the, not to say any of the Jackass guys are like this, but just with anything in general that involves celebrity appearances, like, we don't need the ego to be more up front and center than the stories and the memories. And Dave's very, very good at that. He has almost no ego at all, I'd say.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You really get that sense. Yeah. No, I had a great time. I love discussions like this. If you have any other smaller YouTube clips that you think might work out for us, you can email us jackasspod@gmail.com or hit us up on our socials @jackaspod. But before we go, I wanted to give a shout out to a friend of ours. He's got a large presence over on TikTok, Instagram. He's an artist. He's a wannabe stuntman, comedian, lifelong Jackass fan, and he's actually written a song that was done in commemoration of fans of Jackass and of Jackass in general. His name is
that's you and me.
That's also just like us. We've got a lot going on here. He goes by the name Johnny Knoxville. He's written this little note. I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Half-Ass. I'm an amateur wannabe stunt comedian / lifelong Jackass enthusiast who started an online presence to work on and highlight his love for all Jackass things, or all things Jackass. He also has a music project directly related to his content called Random Hero, spelled RNDMH3RO. And he wrote and recorded a tribute to anyone who grew up watching Jackass and the franchise itself. The song highlights how through a chaotic life he's found peace in grown men over using the term gym dog. Big thanks to the Jackass guys for allowing me to this opportunity to show his song Half-Ass for Never. So this is going to be kind of a premiere. We're going to jump to this and this is actually going to kind of see us out as opposed to our usual theme music that we do. The song is called Half-Ass, in parentheses, don't try this at home, by Random Hero. Once again, RNDMH3RO, and Cape Claw, available on all major platforms, including Spotify. It's available now. You can find him at Johnny Knoxville Main on TikTok or at Johnny.Knoxville on Instagram. So big thanks to sending him. Big thanks to giving us the opportunity to premiere the song. And we'll get to that as soon as we say our goodbyes, Jay. I don't know if you're ready to say our goodbyes, but what do you think?
Baby. I'm ready, especially when we have a special guest appearance here. And thank you so much for just composing a song that is targeted towards Jackass and Jackass fans. That's such 100%. A cool idea.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to hear this. So I'm glad that we're able to share that. I will say this before we sign off, the last thing, and it's the thing Dave England ends the video with, and I just loved this. SteveO looks at him, and this is very fitting. Do you have anything to promote? This video.
His own channel. SteveO asked him on his own channel if he wants to promote anything.
And then it's just gold. Of course, he has I have 2 videos. Leave me alone, SteveO. But at the end of the video, Dave says one other thing that stood out to me, and I just want to give Dave a shout out here too, because he says, I have about 700 subs right now, I think. At the time of watching for me, he was up to 26.6K. Yeah. So pretty fucking impressive. If you haven't subscribed to Dave on YouTube yet, please go do that as well and show him some love. His channel, it just comes up as Dave England. So there you go. Go check that out. And that's all I got to say. Thank you for joining us for this look at Dave and SteveO, best of friends. It was a fun time, and we'll see you next week on Jackast. Until then, bye. I'm Jason Wellwood.
Bye. I'm Chris Aaronworth. Bye. I'm Mikey Aaronworth. And this has been Jackass. And this is Half-Ass. Don't try this at home by Random Hero and Cape Claw.
That they don't really want me around. But the second SteveO gets his dick hit, we start laughing so hard that we can't stand it. Red Bull spilling out our nose and mouths. Fucking shit. I ride my bike over a cliff because I wanna be on Jackass. It's all I want, ain't that sad? It's all I'll ever be. They say don't try this shit at home, but I know if I don't practice, I'll never be on Jackass. Stay up with Bonnie and Knoxville in my room where everything feels like new. I just wanna get some footage with you. Let's hope somebody's arm breaks. But remember safety first like Aaron. My parents can't take a joke like Phil and Nate did. I think they just want me to move the fuck out right now. Jumper cables on my dick because I wanna be on Jackass. It's all I want, ain't that sad? It's all I'll ever be. They say don't try this shit Oh, patron Saint Preston Lacey, come save us. We man, we trust. Oh, King of shit, Dave England, come save us. And we man, we trust. We trust in us. Oh, patron Saint Preston Lacey, come save us. And we man, we trust. Oh, not no trust in us. Oh, King of shit, Dave England, come save us. Dear Lord Knoxville, consider this an official audition tape. I'll put shit up my asshole!
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Get into it.